Hello, beautiful beings. There is a lot moving through the field for a variety of different reasons that are also intersecting. And when things are overlaying, overlapping, and intersecting, the amplification of whatever those conjunctions are happens. And we can feel that. We can feel that inside of our bodies. But we might not have all the information to identify the various intersection points that are happening to make sense of our own process. And that's what I am here for. You know, I'm speaking to and transmitting from the leading edge of evolution. And these are transitions that are happening in real time. And they're going to then, impact people at different time points depending on where they are in their process, in their consciousness, right? But this group is for those who are on the leading edge, and also for those who may be new awakeners, but they have foundations. And when you are a new awakener and you have foundations, I'm not going to speak about the foundations here, but things like discernment, right? A giving and strong-hearted nature, you're truth driven, right? You have a kind of balance within you so that you won't be easily veered into the wrong direction with false teachings, which get to a lot of new awakeners, unfortunately, right? So when you are that, and I'm speaking about the leading edge, this is like actually syncing you up. It's like syncing you up with the highest timeline for the collective. So it's like it will fast track you to hear about the transitions that are happening, and it'll help you a lot inside of your own process to understand what you're moving through. So I want to speak to some of the things that are in the field at this time, which again, if you're listening at a different time, no, it's all in divine time. You're listening when you're meant to. There's a massive collective timeline jump that is being allotted at this time. Now, quantum leaps, timeline work, timeline jumps, not easy. There'll be people who speak about these things without having the integrative, comprehensive, and also embodied wisdom about what that actually means. They'll almost make it very woo-woo, magical, mystical without the full range of what it means, the commitment it requires, the clearing and removing different patterns out of your space that is necessary in order to actually anchor yourself into that higher timeline. The amount of content that will be coming up through your energetic body to clear, like this debris clearing, can be quite a lot. Your life and your lived experience will ask you to make decisions and choices. It'll go, okay, do you really want the higher timeline? Because you're going to have to show up differently in life. You're going to have to close doors to things that aren't quite right. You're going to have faith and trust in your higher desires and the unknown of where you're going. Can you do that? Can you have a knowing inside of your body without having the full scope of where you're going, and trust it so deeply that you make the choices in your lived life to shift the timeline actually into being, right? So, of course, as you all know, every part of my work is an invitation for integration and embodiment, right? No one should be in this space if they're not willing to digest the transmissions in a way that is integrated into their life, that creates transformation. So the timeline leap, the quantum collective jump that is being offered right now, is in conjunction with, like I said, these different intersection points. So the first one being time reversals. Okay, time reversals have happened at different points and periods in collective evolution, including here on Earth, that has taken us from a more advanced state of being in certain ways. Like if you think Atlantis or you think Egypt, right? Those kind of timelines. Both of those, and these are just two examples, but they're really in sync with what I'm speaking about. Both of those civilizations had quite high level technology compared to where we are right now. We lost information from those times. We lost information. There was literally, I'm looking out my French doors, and there was literally this flash of light coming from the sky. So it just, there was speaking from the sky. Something was out there speaking to me. So I wanted to mention it because it's happening in real time, right? Okay, so there's advanced technologies and knowledge that those civilizations held that were lost after falls. And inside of a fall is a time reversal. Think about it, because I talk about the fall and I explain that it births de-evolving portals. So a portal that would be progressive and evolutionary and moving you here, it flips and it starts going like this. Okay, so let's say that these civilizations were sitting at this center point between these very progressive, right, evolved kind of like collective evolution within inside those civilizations was happening, right? So you have this progressive portal, and then a time reversal happens. And what happens is it goes like this. It flips, and then it becomes a de-evolving portal. We've all been inside of this because we're all here on Earth right now, which means that we've been through at minimum one fall, likely much more, especially if you're here, because master souls come to Earth. And this is a part of why master souls come to Earth, because de-evolving portals are challenging. And there's restoration that needs to happen from them. And so these souls decided that they were going to be a part of the restoration process. Okay. In the time reversals that happen, and they create like an almost immediate, and I remember this in Egypt. I remember when this happened in Atlantis. In Egypt, it was like the civilization, it didn't fall into full-blown destruction where it didn't exist like Atlantis, and went into deeper density as in layers within Earth, like full shutdown. In Egypt, it was more so like a time reversal, and it went, we're on this timeline, this is where we're going, and then immediately, boom, we're on a much lower timeline, and things got so far out of control, away from truth, and it happened nearly overnight. But the civilization was still happening, right? So those are differences between these examples that I'm giving. because you may have experienced one or both, right? And then there are other falls that you could have experienced too, and these kind of dynamics could play into that as well. Or differences, the difference in those dynamics. Okay, so these time reversals and the flips created de-evolving portals. Well, now, okay, this is one of the intersection points that I want to speak to. The light of the masculine is returning. The masculine within creation is relative to time because he has linearity. He has definition. The feminine is non-linear. She is related to space. Okay? So these are like quantum mechanics, creation mechanics that I'm speaking of right now. Because it's related to time, and we're talking about time reversals, and we're talking about the fall, there's very particular things relative to the masculine element related to all of that. The masculine is then stripped out because truth is taken away. The protector of the realms is pulled further out. There's fragmentation that happens from these time reversals. There's fragmentation that happens when there's a fall. Part of that fragmentation, as an example, is when I talk about the fall from the firmament, which is another fall that happened prior to Egypt and Atlantis. When take a high harmonic being, okay, you're operating within this kind of dimension, you have this level of dimensional knowledge and access, and then a de-evolving portal happens, and you're being literally sucked in, this massive gravitational pull in and down into more density. That density can almost be like, but this is related to the soul body, but think about it like a physical body. A physical body falling, being pulled down, and then it's hitting these hard layers. Would that not impact the physical body? Parts and pieces going everywhere, right? So that's what happens to the soul body. So the fall has created soul level traumas. And this is how this happens. So there's fragmentation. Okay, fragmentation is going to happen when the elements of creation are in imbalance. When you have the masculine and feminine in balance, which in Egypt, really high level teachings about, I do light language. You guys are used to hearing me on audio transmissions, but I do light language, and this is something that happens in live immersives as well. So, just invite yourself to receive it if you feel compelled. So, Egypt had really high level knowledge about masculine and feminine, even to for perpetual life, eternal life. And when the time reversals happened, it shortened lifespans by a lot. This is also has been a part of density and relative to time, because think about, like, if you were a really expansive soul, and let's say that, and you're being an expansive soul, you're able to be an expansive soul because you lived for 1 million years, okay? And living for 1 million years, you think about on this physical plane, how when you age, a lot of older people will say time it goes by so fast. And it's because of your perspective. Like when you're 5, it's like time's going by relatively slow, because a summer to you feels like a longer span of time, because your point of comparison is 5 years. That's different for 75. So think about 1 million years and what time is like. This is also why time is different in different dimensions, also based upon your existence, right? So time tends to be different in different places. So on Earth, because we have this density, and I'm talking about this fragmentation that has happened and the time reversals, then that has all impacted how we perceive time. So we went from like Egypt, and there's like this the eternal life, and that's also the balance of masculine and feminine. There's creation, original creation code, okay, within that. When the time reversals happen, it strips the masculine element out. It pulls him out. This is where I talk about the missing masculine, and that we need to like shift our understanding of even the patriarchal matrix, because the patriarchal matrix is the fall. It's a result of the fall. And then we think, oh, it's overly masculinized. But the fact is that it's actually missing the true masculine. It takes out the true masculine and it puts on it, it's in it and is in it because he's missing. His truth is missing. His soul essence is missing. The core of the masculine element is unseen. It is missing. Then we get this wounded masculine that seems over masculinized, but it's actually under immatured masculine. Okay? And then that immature masculine tries to conquer the feminine. And that's why we think that, oh, it's overly masculinized. It's actually the missing masculine. We are coming into a massive transition and shift. Huge, 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 huge. And I've been talking about in so many transmissions, the return of the masculine. Saying the masculine is returning, the light of truth is here. That's all related. Light, truth, masculine, all under the same umbrella. Okay? He is returning now. That corrects the imbalance that has happened when these falls have happened, including as interrelated with these time reversals. When the masculine returns, we have the light of truth that is now entering into realms of density that have held immense illusion because there's been imbalance, and the original codes of creation have been taken out of balance, and there's been this fragmentation. Okay? Fragmentation. When the masculine starts coming back in, this allows for greater balance. If you haven't yet listened to and experienced the first live immersive, where I do a very extensive teaching on the new energetic body, and I'm literally offering you guys the architecture for the new energetic body that is coming online now, that is associated with New Earth, and teaching you about it, please go move through that immersive. It's really, really important. So there's a missing masculine heart, and I talk about it in that live immersive. I have been moving an insane amount of energy through my body because I am a true original mother, as in one of the first. I'm an old soul. I'm an elemental species, the first elemental species to ever exist within creation. And I hold the true divine mother within inside of me. I hold the Trinity within inside me. That's also part of the live immersive and the templating that you receive. This is very high level templating, very high level. So with that, me holding the Holy Mother, this is needed for the masculine that's been separate to come back in, to reunify with the feminine, because the mother is the unifier. Masculine is separateness, the feminine is unification. So there's a collectiveness in the feminine, right? And then there is the separateness, individuation of the masculine. This is again where I'm continuously teaching about the future of creation, and creation's next cycle, which will go on for eons, is reunification with sovereignty, individuation, and separateness integrated. Not one over the other, integrated. So the mother element within inside of me, holding the Holy Mother, is allowing for this masculine to come back and descend down into this plane of existence, to be anchored here. I'm also an anchor for New Earth. I'm a portal, right? So this is where I'm feeling it immensely in my body. I'm going to be one of the absolute first beings to be doing this, if not the first, in how it kind of comes in and down and through in the way, and to the degree that I am speaking this in this space. This is also how I'm able to teach from the leading edge, because I am the leading edge, right? We are too a part of the leading edge. So the missing masculine is then going to be returning. He is returning in relationship to the feminine. The feminine is of heart. The masculine is of mind. Now, both of these can go into a sacred figure 8, where the masculine is working in conjunction with the heart and the feminine is working in conjunction with the mind. But right now, what's happening in the collective is that the missing masculine heart is coming online. So I have seen that the truth is that we have two hearts. We don't just have a heart on the left side of our body, the feminine side. We also have a heart, but it has been stripped from these falls. It's been a part of the fragmentation, and we have to integrate this missing masculine heart. This brings the masculine home. I've said it for a really long time. This is extremely high level code that I've been saying for years and years and years, which is the woman of wisdom, the man of heart. That is a sacred figure 8 between masculine and feminine. It's the higher level code. It's the integrative future for creation in this creation cycle. And then that we're going to move through that as a collective humanity, while we're bringing in balance to where there's been fragmentation, and we're moving through this massive shift right now. So bringing in this missing masculine heart allows for there to be horizontal, that's actually masculine here too, ground level integration. And what that does is it's working in conjunction with healing out the fall, the threading of the fall, the immense soul level traumas we've experienced from time reversals in the fall. It's correcting time, so we're going to be evolving even more quickly than we have before. And it is also going to be clearing out all these timelines, all not just on Earth, definitely on Earth, but also beyond Earth, relative to any and all falls that you as a soul have ever been through, moved through. Okay? That is not easy, because we're talking about healing soul level trauma. And soul level trauma is not an easy process to move through, and it will correspond with feeling sensations in your physical body, your emotional body, there'll be mental body stuff, right? There's all of the things are connecting and connected. So you could be feeling like slower, down, not as motivated to produce, and then just having kind of like, for me, I'm experiencing a lot of I'm quite sentimental, but a lot of sentimental tears among grief, because the thing about it is that it also brings us closer and back to the moments and the places and the beings that we were near and held dear, that meant so much to us, that meant so much to our hearts, that these falls created division, created painful fragmentation and separation. And this also includes, we can have grief around losing to knowledge and wisdom and technologies, and there's a lot of loss. There's a lot of different arenas that we can feel loss, most especially when it comes to soul level, soul trauma level healing. So this could be bringing up a lot for you, a lot. And I'm going to encourage you to be willing to rest if you feel called to rest, because integration requires rest. To not narrate your rest as though you are not enough, or you're not doing enough, or not being enough, that you're not evolving, because that would be untrue. This is a lot. This is a lot. And again, it's not easy. And it's not an inactive process, which is why we need rest. But we're used to, through the patriarchal matrix programming, diminishing the amount that we are doing and we are being, especially when we are evolutionaries, because we're vastly unseen. Because when you're on the leading edge, those who see you need to be near you. They can't be so far here, they won't be able to see you all the way up here, because they haven't been there. They don't have the embodiment or the eyes to see all the way to there. And so we can then especially get down on ourselves thinking, oh, I'm not moving, I'm not doing anything, I'm not being anything, because the external world is not saying, thank you so much for your service. Wow, that is incredible. I can't do that. You're doing that. You're running that through your body. Thank you so much. What a beautiful gifting to me and all of humanity, right? Like, it's not like we have that level of honor and reverence here, and appreciation and acknowledgement that we are absolutely deserving of. And this too is what this space is for. I want to validate your experiences. I want you to know that you're seen. I want you to know that you're valued. I want you to know that you're loved, that you're appreciated, that I see you and your investment, that your contribution matters, right? So I wanted to speak about some of these things so that you would be able to put together maybe some parts and pieces that are then related to your personal process. The last thing that I want to say here is that the fall created illusion, because it took things out of balance. And when you are someone who has chosen to be here in mission to restoration, which all of you have and are here, that's the only reason why you're here, you have kept lights on in places where others have been in the dark. And that too is a part of this dynamic of being unseen. And there's been a lot of violence, because violence actually comes from the missing masculine. The masculine in his rightful positioning is a protector and a protector of realms. So you don't see warfare and systems where the masculine is there. And so being a light being who is holding truth, you're holding templates and codes, because when these inversions have happened, when these reversals of time have happened, when the fall has happened, you decided to take on the responsibility of holding that sacred knowledge and ancient wisdom. It might be dormant inside of you. You might not be able to remember it all, right? Or don't even know, oh, that's there, but you are holding it here. And though it might be in a subtle realm or suppressed realm, that doesn't mean that you don't hold it, and that even people who can't see don't respond to the fact that you hold these things. And in inverted realities with warfare, this is then turned into people who might not be able to see you and validate your value and acknowledge all that you are and what you're holding and appreciate it. But instead, the patterns and the programs that are embedded inside of them as related to the threading of the fall and their own fragmentation has then flipped it around to turn your light into weaponry. As in, though they might not be able to consciously validate that you are holding immense light and you're holding these codes and sacred knowledge and ancient wisdom, etc. And you might not even know the extent of that, right? We're all discovering what we're holding, and we're going to discover that more because the return of the masculine, who is going to be the light that illuminates us with truth, will activate that code inside of us. This is also relative to DNA. Ooh, I'm so glad that I got that in here because it's an essential point of all of this. The time reversals and these things correcting themselves is it's repairing the DNA, because the DNA has been fractured because of these reversals. You need masculine and feminine in balance in order for, think about, like, it's like a sacred figure eight, the DNA, like what DNA sequences look like, right? And I won't get onto the newer DNA, but this is like the base code of it, right? And then there's the ladder. That ladder is actually, there's polarity in it. On each side of that laddering of DNA is masculine and feminine as creation code. And so when it separated the masculine and feminine, it literally separated our DNA, our code, our multidimensional remembrance. This is part of the amnesia. All that we've been, all that we are, all that we will be is encoded. So you're also going to be having your genetics are changing. Your DNA is also being repaired. And that too is going to be coming online more and more. And that's when you start to remember and see what it is that you're actually holding. What's that unique code that you as a soul decided, I'm going to uphold the responsibility of holding this sacred knowledge, ancient wisdom, remembrance, etc. Okay. There's a thread I got off on because I had to talk about the DNA, and I want to make sure I'm finalizing it. Give me one moment to travel back. So as you are holding these things inside of you but might not know it, which is a part of that fracture of the DNA, right? And then all the threading from the fall that has created warfare. What has happened is that instead of you being seen in a way that actually validated what was true, you would be seen through the shattered mirror effect, which is not going to reflect you who you truly are. It's going to reflect the fracture of the collective as people respond to you. And then that can become projection and otherwise weaponry that pushes against you for what you hold. It tries to attack you because it knows what you hold, because the threading of the fall it can't exist when what you hold comes to life and light. So in the way, it's like the fall is trying to protect itself through other people who are holding more density, thus more debris from the threading of the fall, to then impact those who are holding more of the code and holding more of the light. And that means that you have likely experienced a significant amount of not being seen while also being seen. So you're not being seen for the truth that you are and like valued and held in reverence as you should be. But there's something in others that can sense your power, your magic, your mastery. And instead the fall moves through them, the threading of that, and turns into weaponry to project on you, to tell you that you are something that you are not, and to diminish what you are. And it can be quite violent. I experience this a lot, and I know that others of you here also experience this. And the higher concentration of light that you have held, the more that has impacted you throughout time and space relative to the variety of these falls. So that's another component of the healing process. When the light of the masculine returns to illuminate the truth that you are, which is a beautiful thing, you come online, your DNA too comes online to all that you are. And as that happens, you are also going to see, by coming online and actually being seen by the light of the masculine and the masculine element returning here, you are going to see the contrast of all that it has been to not be seen and all of the pain that has caused. Every crucifixion that you might have faced. So crucifixions would be like witch burnings and the destruction of temples and high priestesses, and I mean, it goes on and on. There's a variety of crucifixions that have happened, including hangings. I'm not just talking about witches, I'm talking about Black and people of color hangings that have happened. Those have also been crucifixions, because there is immense soil, the roots of earth, wisdom, and dark-skinned people. And so it's the suppression of all of that. It's the fall trying to go, no, you can't exist, because if you exist, I don't exist. All of that too would be coming up for it to be cleared. And that too is not an easy part of this process. So I wanted to speak to this. So again, it hopefully will be healing for you, and to validate any kind of clunkiness that you might be feeling, or slowness, being called into slowness and stillness and rest. Okay, so much love to each and every one of you.